What if I told you that the month of your birth carries a hidden code about who you really are, and that you have spent your entire life ignoring this silent call? I'm not talking about magazine horoscope or generic phrases that suit anyone. I'm talking about something deeper, more ancestral. Jungian psychology reveals that each birth takes place within an invisible but powerful symbolic field, a kind of energetic impression that marks the soul at the exact moment you give your first breath. And this field not only influences your personality, it whispers who you were made to become. Do you feel that certain parts of yourself have never been fully explained? Intuitions, natural talents, pains that no one understands. Maybe it's because you never looked at the symbolic map that shaped you. Are you ready to do this now? Have you ever wondered why certain people born in the same month seem to share such peculiar traits? It is not a coincidence, and it is also not just astrology. In Jungian deep psychology, there is a truth rarely explored. Each birth takes place within a unique symbolic field, an invisible web of meanings that imprints its mark on our essence. Time is not just a sequence of moments, it is a mirror of the collective unconscious, a cosmic dance that reflects ancestral patterns that inhabit the depths of the human psyche. Think about your own birth. That specific moment that brought you into the world carries a unique symbolic atmosphere, an energy that has silently shaped fundamental aspects of who you are. What if I said the month you were born whispers secrets about your deepest nature, not as a sealed destiny, but as a call, an invitation to explore specific potentials of your soul? What happens when we begin to realize that it is not only the weather seasons that change throughout the year, but also the very quality of collective consciousness? How many times have you felt an inner call that you could not explain, a natural talent or inclination that seemed to be part of your spiritual DNA? What if it was not only genetics or breeding, but also the reflection of this symbolic atmosphere that involved his first breath? Jungian psychology invites us to see beyond the obvious, to realize that we carry subtle impressions of this energy field, of this symbolic matrix present at the moment when we cross the portal of birth. How would it be to live conscious of this invisible map that pulsates inside you? How would it be to recognize the archetypal call that your soul received upon coming into this world? Come with me on this journey through the 12 archetypes of the birth months, and perhaps, just maybe, you will discover a new look at yourself, your innate gifts and the challenges that shape your unique path in this existence. January and February, the first guardians of the year. January, in the heart of the summer of the southern hemisphere, when the merciless sun reigns supreme and nature displays its most intense force, those marked by the archetype of the maker are born. Have you noticed how people born in January often exude an almost magnetic determination, as if they were born with an internal compass pointing firmly to the north of their ambitions? What happens when the first month of the year imprints its mark on a soul? A creature appears moved by purpose, action, and direction. Those who carry the energy of January rarely settle for the superficial or the mediocre. The solar force of this month creates beings that even in silence seem to whisper, "I have come to accomplish." Think about the people born in January that you know. Can you see this quality in them? This almost sacred thirst to materialize visions, to transform thoughts into tangible reality. And then February arrives. The intense heat begins to give subtle signs that it will soon say goodbye. The golden light of summer acquires a more mature, more reflective quality. And it is in this time portal that the souls marked by the archetype of the intuitive artist arrive. How would it be to feel the world with the sensitivity of those who were born in February? These are the creatures that seem to have an invisible thread connecting them directly to the underground currents of life. Where others see the obvious, they pick up nuances, vivid metaphors, possibilities not yet manifested. Do you know someone born in February? Have you noticed how often these people have an almost supernatural ability to feel what has not been said, to capture the beauty hidden in the lines of existence? The intuitive artist of February lives with one foot in reality and another in the realm of infinite possibilities. Your creativity is not just a talent, it is a way of breathing, a way of being. While January builds with determination, February dances with inspiration. What if we could learn something essential from each of these archetypes? What if January taught us about the power of focused intention, while February revealed the secrets of expanded perception? What do these 2 months of intense summer have to tell us about the different forms of force that inhabit the human spirit? 1. The strength of unshakable determination. Another, the transforming power of creative sensitivity. But the year has just begun its journey, and with the transition to autumn, new archetypes emerge, bringing with them even deeper and mysterious qualities. March and April, masters of the transition. As summer takes its last golden breath, we reach March. Have you ever wondered why so many people born this month seem to carry such a magnetic emotional depth, as if they could dive into waters that others only contemplate from the surface? March brings with it the archetype of the emotional alchemist. These are the souls who feel the world not only as an experience, but as a continuous transformation. Where others see only emotions, they perceive raw material for an inner alchemy. Observe closely those who were born under the sign of March. Can you see how rarely they remain on the surface of any experience, how they seem endowed with an almost supernatural ability to extract meaning even from the most intense trials? What would happen if we could, just for one day, feel the world through the senses of a March emotional alchemist? Perhaps we understand that the true strength is not in avoiding emotional storms, but in learning to dance in the rain, turning every drop into lived wisdom. And then, when the first leaves begin to golden, when the air gets that first touch of autumnal freshness, April manifests itself, the month that brings us the archetype of the guardian of the essential. Do you know anyone born in April? Have you noticed how these people often demonstrate a special connection to what is truly important in life? How do they seem naturally capable of separating the essential from the superfluous? What would it be to live with this innate ability to value roots and simultaneously feel the call of change? Those born in April carry this fascinating duality. They honor the past while welcoming the necessary transformations. Think for a moment. In a world increasingly distracted by the ephemeral, the instant, what would be the value of having guardians who remind us of what really matters? Who invites us to look beyond appearances and reconnect with the essence? Those born in April carry this silent mission. While March transforms through emotional intensity, April preserves through discerning wisdom. One feels deeply to transform, the other discerns carefully to preserve. And so, in the changing colors of the autumnal leaves, in this ballet of transformation of nature, we find the perfect mirror for these two archetypes. One that transmutes emotions into wisdom, another that filters the essential of the passenger. But the journey continues as autumn deepens, walking slowly into the cold embrace of winter, and with it, new archetypal guardians arise, each bringing their own ancestral wisdom. May and June, the heart of autumn. May arrives with an almost sacred quietness. The last leaves dance their final waltz before resting on the ground, while the sky acquires that peculiar luminosity that only deep autumn knows. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem to possess a silent force, a presence that builds without ostentation, but with unshakable consistency? This is the gift of those marked by the archetype of the silent builder of May. What does it mean to be born when nature begins to retreat, when the vibrant summer spectacle gives way to autumnal introspection. Those born in May seem to intuitively understand the power of patience, the value of gradual construction, the strength that lies in solidity. Look at those that May brought to the world. Can you see how rarely they rush towards superficial results? How do they seem to have an innate understanding that the most significant constructions require time, dedication, and conscious presence? What if we could incorporate some of this wisdom into our fast-paced world? What if we learned, with the children of May, that the true strength is not in noise, but consistency, not in speed, but depth? And then, when the cold begins to announce the proximity of winter, June manifests itself with its peculiar light. June, the portal to winter, brings with it the fascinating archetype of the guardian of the invisible. Do you know anyone born in June? Have you noticed how these people often watch more than they talk? How do you seem to be able to grasp dimensions of reality that escape the most hurried glances? What would it be to live with this almost psychic sensitivity to the unspoken, to the underground currents that shape our human interactions? Those born in June carry this gift. They are naturally attuned to the invisible, with that which pulsates under the surface of the obvious. Think for a moment, in a world so focused on the tangible, the visible, the measurable, what would be the value of having guardians who remind us that the deepest reality is often hidden between the lines? That we are invited to sharpen our senses to perceive the invisible that sustains the visible. Those born in June carry this silent mission. While May builds with patience and solidity in the material world, June connects us with the subtle dimensions of existence. One manifests in the concrete, the other translates the abstract. And so, in the autumnal quietness that precedes the great silence of winter, we find these two complementary expressions of human wisdom: the ability to build with persistence and the ability to perceive beyond appearances. But the wheel of time continues to turn. The cold intensifies its presence, inviting us to dive even deeper into the mysteries of the next archetypal guardians. July and August, the heart of winter. July arrives wrapped in mist and silence. The cold reaches its apex, nature seems to hold its breath, and the world retreats into a state of deep contemplation. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem to possess an almost supernatural ability to comprehend unspoken wounds, to offer healing through simple presence? This is the gift of those marked by the archetype of the silent healer of July. What does it mean to be born in the heart of winter, when nature seems to sleep its deepest sleep? Those born in July seem to bring with them an almost psychic sensitivity, a capacity to perceive the more subtle layers of human experience. Look at those that July brought to the world. Can you see how often they become natural confidants? How do they seem capable of creating safe spaces where difficult truths can finally be expressed? What if we could learn something essential from these silent healers? What if we understood through them that true healing rarely comes from eloquent words, but rather from the ability to be truly present, to witness without judgment? And then, when winter begins to reveal its first signs of exhaustion, August emerges with a peculiar energy. August, still surrounded by intense cold, but already carrying the first whispers of distant spring, brings with it the powerful archetype of the spiritual leader. Do you know anyone born in August? Have you noticed how these people often show an inner strength that seems to be born from their own trials? How do you transform adversity into applicable wisdom? What would it be to live with this innate ability to find meaning in difficulties, to turn obstacles into steps for a deeper understanding of the human journey? Those born in August bear this mark. They are naturally forged to lead not from external power, but from internal authority. Think for a moment, in a world that often confuses leadership with domination, What would be the value of having among us those who lead from hard-won wisdom, who show us, through the living example, how to transform darkness into light? Those born in August carry this transforming mission. While July heals through compassionate presence, August inspires through resilience transformed into wisdom. One receives the wounds, the other illuminates ways. And so, in the depths of winter, when nature seems to teach us about the necessary cycles of death and rebirth, we find these two complementary expressions of human wisdom: the art of healing through presence and the ability to lead through personal transformation. But the journey continues, for winter, however long it may seem, always gives way to renewal. And with the first signs of spring, new archetypal guardians emerge, bringing with them the energies of awakening and integration. September and October. The spring rebirth. September awakens with a whispered promise. The first buds break the cold soil, birds return with their morning songs, and an energy of renewal permeates the still, fresh air. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem naturally able to create harmony where others see only conflict? To find balance points between seemingly irreconcilable opposites? This is the gift of those marked by the archetype of the harmonizer of September. What does it mean to be born when nature is in the process of renewal? The children of September seem to intuitively understand the delicate dance between extremes, the beauty that emerges when seemingly contradictory forces find their point of integration. Note those that September brought to the world. Can you see how often they become natural bridges between different people, ideas, and worlds? How do they seem able to see patterns where others see only chaos? What if we could cultivate in ourselves this ability to see beyond the polarities? And if we learned, with the harmonizers of September, that the true wisdom is not in choosing a side, but in integrating the apparently incompatible in a new synthesis? And then, when spring unfolds in all its exuberance, October comes with its golden light and its peculiar intensity. October, with its flowers in full explosion of colors and aromas, brings with it the fascinating archetype of the lover of the soul. Do you know someone born in October? Have you noticed how these people often seek the essence behind appearances, how they seem dissatisfied with superficial connections, always seduced by the call of depth? What would it be to live with this insatiable hunger for authentic experiences, this instinctive refusal to accept the superficial when the deep is possible? Those born in October carry this impulse. They are naturally attracted to the deeper layers of existence, to the mysteries that inhabit beyond the obvious. Think for a moment, in a world that often celebrates speed over depth, what would be the value of having among us those who remind us that the true connection, whether with people, ideas, or life itself, does it happen in the deeper layers of experience? Those born in October carry this transformative mission. While September creates bridges and harmonizes opposites, October dives into the depths to extract meaning. One integrates, the other deepens. And so, in spring in full bloom, when nature celebrates the renewal of life in all its forms, we find these two complementary expressions of human wisdom: the ability to harmonize differences and the courage to dive into the depths of the soul. But the journey of the year continues its spiral. Spring walks to its apex, foreshadowing the return of radiant summer. And with this final transition, the last archetypal guardians emerge, bearers of the energies of completion and expansion. November and December. The cycle is complete. November arrives with an almost palpable intensity. Spring reaches its climax. The light expands in ever longer days, and an energy of culmination permeates the increasingly warm air. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem to catalyze transformations just by being present, as if carrying with them an energetic field that naturally destabilizes the status quo and invites evolution? This is the gift of those marked by the archetype of the deep transformer of November. What does it mean to be born when nature is in its moment of greatest transforming power? The children of November seem to understand intuitively that true change is rarely comfortable. It is an alchemical process that requires confrontation with shadows and willingness to abandon the known. Observe those that November brought to the world. Can you see how often they become natural catalysts of change in the environments and people around them? How do they seem capable of provoking, only with their presence, those uncomfortable but necessary questions? What if we could welcome, rather than fear, this transforming energy? What if we learned from the November transformers that true evolution often begins with a necessary discomfort, an invitation to leave our safe zones? And then, when spring gives way to the early days of summer, December comes with its radiant light and expansive quality. December, with its long days and its increasing heat, brings with it the fascinating archetype of the traveling master. Do you know someone born in December? Have you noticed how these people often seem to see beyond the visible horizons? How do they bring with them a visionary quality that expands the perceptions of those around them? What would it be to live with this innate ability to perceive larger patterns, connections that transcend the immediate and the local? This natural tendency to see possibilities not yet manifested. Those born in December carry this gift. They are naturally attuned to the potential with what can come to be. Think for a moment, in a world often trapped in limited perspectives, what would be the value of having among us those who remind us of the vastness of the possible? That we are invited to look beyond the known borders and glimpse unexplored territories of human potential. Those born in December carry this expansive mission. While November causes transformation through the confrontation with what needs to die, December inspires through the vision of what can be born. One deconstructs, the other glimpses. And so in the transition from spring to summer, when nature celebrates the fullness of light, we find these two complementary expressions of human wisdom, the courage to bring about necessary transformations and the ability to glimpse expanded horizons. And then the cycle is complete. December gives way to January, and the wheel of archetypes resumes its eternal dance. A dance that reflects, in its perfect sequence, the very movement of human consciousness on its journey of evolution. What is your month of birth? What archetypal energy caresses your soul, whispers your gifts and challenges? And more importantly, how would it be to live conscious of this unique call that pulsates in the depths of your being? Always remember, your month of birth is not just a date on the calendar. It is a symbol, a call, an invitation to explore specific potentials of your soul. An invisible map that life, in its wisdom, is constantly helping you to decipher. Share in the comments your perception, your identification, or even a question that arose on the way. This exchange is a fundamental part of the journey. Do not forget to enjoy and share this content with those who you believe you need to hear these words. And let's expand together that symbolic awareness that unites us invisibly from the first breath. See you in the next video.